In this video we will clearly show you how using all the tips and tricks in taking better shots, you can increase the number of sales and therefore your earnings. Smile, be positive and friendly. It always makes guests more comfortable. Give compliments. Sometimes you can start your shoot with compliments. This works well, especially if you know how to make them. For example, "I just can't help but take a picture of you in that beautiful hat." When approaching people, we can't take photos brazenly or without permission, as there may be conflict. But it's also not a good idea to ask, "May I? Would you like a photo?" There is not a confident tone of voice. You need to behave confidently, as if you came to take their picture, like photographers do at weddings. "Sit closer. I'll take your picture." If they respond negatively, don't take the picture. If people are kissing or hugging, take pictures. People who are hugging are more likely to be photographed. When people come up to someone and say something in their ear or hug them, it's a photo opportunity. Your chances of getting a picture are very high. Check what you get on camera without moving away from your guests. Be sure to check what you got in the end after the photos are taken. If you don't do this, the shots may be ruined. No focus, under or over lighting, closed eyes, open mouths, and you may not be able to shoot these people anymore. If something is wrong, don't hesitate to ask for a second shot. If you're not comfortable, then tell them they blinked and need to be shot again. If there is someone who is interested in photography, shoots a lot and is willing to shoot, then use them to shoot others. Or get everyone together for a group shot. Table photos are the main type of photos in restaurants. It is better to choose the most appropriate moment to approach the guests. It will be extremely difficult to do it again. At most you can approach a table that is refused 2 times. If you have an assistant who can shoot, it is better to send them instead of going yourself the second time. Approach the same table more than once, even if they have already bought. Don't think you're bothering people, and don't be afraid to approach them repeatedly. People like it when you pay attention to them and offer to take different photos of them. Often, guests perceive the photographer as entertainment from the restaurant while they are waiting for the food. Your task is to give them good emotions and offer different options for poses for photos. You will instantly see their positive reaction. And it may be difficult for them to refuse to buy photos after the emotions they have been given. The best time to take pictures is when guests have already had their drinks, but haven't eaten their food yet and are waiting for their food. If you notice someone taking a picture on their phone, it's the perfect moment to take a picture. The moment of a toast and the clinking of glasses is always a great moment to photograph and start working with the table. There are several types of tables that we shoot. Working with them is a little different. Small and large tables. Let's start with small tables. They are a couple, a group of friends, one person at a table, a couple with children. When photographing a couple, your goal is to bring them 5 to 6 different frames. For example, 3 standard generic ones, and 2 portrait frames. If there are cocktails on the table, ask them to move closer or hold them in their hands. Don't forget that it's not uncommon for couples to buy black and white photos. You can do one in an editing program. If it looks like a couple to you, feel free to ask them to kiss each other, after you clarify if they are exactly a couple. Taking portrait photos is mandatory. Perhaps the couple came on a first date and are unlikely to buy a photo together, but they can easily give each other portrait shots as a sign of attention. If you don't get portraits, you can crop the group table photo in an editing program. When photographing a small group of friends, your task is to bring at least 3 group shots plus 2 portraits for each. If it's a group of ladies, girls love and often choose a full-length photo, so you can offer them to stand up, saying that she has a very beautiful dress, and you just have to capture it as a photographer. When you have a table and they are not a couple, it is important that they have portraits, as they may be recent acquaintances and have no reason to buy a shared photo. If the person is sitting alone at the table, bring out a minimum of 3 photos. A married couple with children, your task is to bring more than 5 photos. A joint photo of children, adults in 2 different versions, shared photos and portraits of children and possibly adults. Children are easygoing and always willing to be photographed. It is better to approach the table and start by taking pictures of children and then adults. Then ask them to stand next to their parents and take general shots. Large tables require more of your attention and focus on each guest. Large tables come in several pairs of friends. A large table of friends. Large tables are usually a minimum of 12 photos. Our photographers take as many shots as possible and sell 15 to 25 photos to a single table. Never talk to everyone at once when approaching a large table. You may get rejected by one person speaking for the whole company. Therefore, break it into several parts. Try to determine who is interconnected with whom. Mentally divide the table into groups and start shooting from one of the ends. Shoot pairs separately, roughly speaking. Imagine that in front of you several small tables and work on the technique described above. Also, if there are friends sitting next to you when you move from one couple to another, don't forget to photograph them too. When photographing couples, approach directly in front of them, not from a distance. After you have photographed everyone, you need to take some group shots. You have already familiarized yourself with the table, and it is better to ask for a group shot from the more positive and open people. Set up different composition of group photos. For example, you come to the table. Then first take a picture of them sitting together at the table. Ask them to raise their glasses with drinks. Then ask them to stand on one side of the table. Then put their hands up or show them a heart. Perhaps to wiggle and make funny faces. Look at the audience. If you raise the table, it's best to ask children or younger, more active people to stand closer to the other people sitting. As if someone has already stood up, they are unlikely to refuse you a photo. If you see babies in someone's arms, take a picture. Also, a baby can be held by different people during the day. Children can also run around the hall, take pictures. There is no need to ask anyone. Push when in doubt. If you, for example, come to the table and people after your request to take a picture, if they think for a couple of seconds and do not give any answer, you should try to encourage them to give a positive answer. For example, you can shift their attention by looking away from them and preparing for the shot, remove the bottle in front of them, or tell the person to fix their tie. The phrase, "Guys, let's do pictures for fun," also works well, and then offer to make fun poses. Many will agree to be filmed for fun. When you work with a large table where guests are celebrating a birthday, graduation or bachelorette party, you should make sure to take portraits of the celebrant as he blows out the candles. Take pictures of them with relatives and friends separately, as well as invite them to a beautiful photo zone and conduct a small photo session. If the guest has a special occasion, they will definitely want to preserve the memories of the day, and you have the opportunity to sell 10 or 20 photos to one table. Take atmospheric shots. A photo of the birthday boy in the center of the frame, and the environment around him. People shooting him on their phones, clapping. Do not skip cake photos. As a rule, the cake is the moment for which the client is ready to pay. Buy a few photos and they are most often given to the birthday man. Ask the restaurant staff to speak to you before they plan to take out the birthday cake, so you will definitely not miss the solemn moment. Refer to this category as well as situations where bottles are brought out in marriage proposal. In the latter case, take as many shots as possible and print them all. Framing is another great way to get as many shots as possible. Don't worry if you don't manage to get portrait shots. You can always cut them out in the program. Just experiment, cut out portraits of each couple in the program and see how many photo sales you are missing. If any couple from the group did not want to be shot, cut it out of the general frame in the same program. If the group shot has girls on one side and men on the other, make these sides separate frames, and now you have not only a common shot but also additional group shots. Always remember that even if you have already shot people at the tables, it does not prevent you from inviting them to the photo zone or approach them again in another location. In the dance, think of them as new people. Even if a client bought 20 photos, it doesn't mean they won't buy anything else. Never put such a barrier. If you manage to get the couple out from behind the table, this is where you need to dial in as many frames as possible and bring in up to 10 to 15 frames per couple. The basic frames that can be taken are A. Full-length vertical, B. Vertical close-up shot down to waist, C. Horizontal distant, D. Horizontal close-up, E. Ask them to look at each other, F. A kiss, G. Live shots of people laughing, take them, H. Funny shots, I. Shots where one embraces the other. Change their location relative to each other and do not fixate on one photo zone. Allocate at least 2. And if you have a lot of free time, then take them around the restaurant. It all depends on the location. When you see a person being filmed with a phone, just stand and shoot next to the person taking the picture. It doesn't matter if the person isn't looking at the camera. That sells too. Once you have 2 to 3 frames, wait until the person is finished and ask them to look at the camera. Here it is important that if you are asked not to shoot, then do not do it, so as not to create a conflict situation. Separate groups of people from the crowd and take pictures together. Take photos at the entrance to the photo zone. Sometimes there is a photo zone or background right at the entrance to the establishment. Use this opportunity until you get to the table. Do not miss any slow dances. Take pictures of couples. Take photos if people are not even looking. You can also ask to look at the camera. If there is a star in the restaurant and she takes pictures with the guests, this is your moment. There will be a lot of sales. It doesn't happen often. We understand that it's not easy to get shots. So you need to make the most out of the moment that appears. If you have a moment for photography and you are allowed to shoot yourself, then manage the process and try to get as many different frames as possible, applying all the recommendations that we have described in this video. Remember, for clients, you are a professional photographer. It doesn't matter if you hold the camera in your hands for one day or several months. Therefore, always act confidently and actively lead the process. In this way, you will always achieve the maximum number of frames. We wish you good luck and great sales.